All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call this workshop to order. Thank you for being here today. It is 9:30 a.m. on November 30th, 2023, and this is the scheduled time for the workshop to solicit comments regarding proposed changes to Chapter 583 of the Nevada Administrative Code, NAC. This workshop is being held in person at the Elko office for the Nevada Department of Agriculture, as well as virtually via Zoom using either computer or telephone to ensure all wishing to participate may do so. This workshop has been properly noticed and is being recorded as required by Nevada open meeting law. We are recording today's meeting for those wishing to view at a later date. My name is Shada Sanjida, and I am the project manager for the Nevada Meat and Poultry Inspection Program. The following Nevada Department of Agriculture staff members are also in attendance. Please state your name and title.
Alyssa Townsell, Meat and Poultry Inspection Program Educator.
Chad Sustanovich, Administrator, Nevada Department of Ag.
Thank you. Now I will be reading off of the names listed below. If you haven't placed your name on the sign-in sheet, please do so before you leave so that we may keep an accurate record of who has attended this meeting. We have Haynes Holman. And for those participating via Zoom or phone, we will say your name and record your attendance for you. Julia Miller Ketchum, could you please unmute and let me know if anyone is in attendance with you?
Julia Ketchum with Nevada Department of Agriculture, and I'm in my office alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley Pope, could you please unmute and let me know if anyone is attending with you?
Good morning, this is Shelley Pope. I also have Lander Smith in attendance with me today.
Thank you. Lisa Burnett, could you please unmute and let me know if anyone is attending with you?
Hi, I'm on.
Thank you. Doug Busselman, could you please unmute and let me know if anyone is attending with you?
Good morning, Doug Busselman. I'm all by myself.
Thank you. So just a few housekeeping items. For those participating via Zoom, we'll be using some of the features of Zoom for those who have joined us through the online platform. At the bottom of your screen, you will see participants in chat. Please click on chat to open the chat box. Next, locate the participants icon and click to open. Find your name on the participants list and hover over your name. A raised hand icon will appear, and this is what you will click to participate in roll call and if you wish to speak during public comment. Click it again to lower your hand after speaking or to withdraw the request. If you don't find the hand by hovering near your name, use the three dots at the bottom of the screen to open a menu where you'll have the option of raising hand and lowering your hand. For those participating by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And we have muted everyone to reduce background noise. If you wish to give public comment, please use the hand raising feature and we'll call on you to ensure your mic is unmuted. Those on the phone can unmute themselves when called upon by pressing *6. If you have any technical issues during the meeting, please try the following. Turn the video off to see if the connection improves. Leave the video meeting and either try to rejoin or call in using the phone number and login information from the agenda. If you are having problems getting unmuted or into the comment queue, use the chat function to make your comment and it will be recorded for the record. In addition to public comments during this workshop, interested parties are welcome to submit written public by email to ssanjideh@agri.nv.gov. If you are attending in person, please sign the attendance sheet. If you are virtually attending, we'll be using the participant list for the record. If we're unsure of your name, we may send you a message so we have the correct information in the meeting minutes. If you're joining via phone, please send an email to ssanjideh@agri.nv.gov indicating you participated in today's workshop or remain on the line after we close so we may capture your information for the meeting record. I will provide you with an overview of the rulemaking process so you have background on the state of Nevada's current regulations and where we're making proposed changes. During 2022, the agency began the development of a meat and poultry inspection program funded and administered primarily by the Nevada Department of Agriculture. NDA staff were tasked with reviewing the Nevada Administrative Code. As the first step, the NDA reviewed the existing NAC language, updated sections due to federal guidelines, reviewed other state programs, and calculated program costs. The draft we're reviewing in this workshop is the most updated version of the proposed changes. These changes were submitted to the Legislative Counsel Bureau, LCB, for review and comment on, and were then sent to the NDA with LCB's response. Next, the department distributed a small business impact survey for industry input. That information was compiled and a statement was included with this workshop notice. This workshop is being held to review the proposed changes and receive public comment to help shape the final proposed language. Additional comments may be submitted following this workshop up until December 15th, 2023. Following the workshop process, and once the Legislative Counsel Bureau has provided input and approval to move forward, a hearing and intent to adopt proposed regulations will be scheduled and noticed. Public comment may also be made before, during, and after that hearing. The draft coming out of the hearing process is then adopted by the department and submitted for review and approval by the Legislative Commission. After approval by the Legislative Commission or subcommittee to review regulations, the Legislative Counsel Bureau will file the regulations with the Secretary of State. This is the point the adopted regulation would become effective. From our agenda, you will see that we'll start with a period of open comment for anyone wishing to speak about concerns or to provide feedback. We ask that you limit your comment to 3 minutes to ensure everyone can be heard. Following open comment, we will review the proposed changes to NAC 583, followed by time for questions and clarification. After questions, there will be another period for additional public comment on the proposed changes. Those who wish to speak during public comment are requested to raise their hand, either in person or virtually, and when called upon, please identify themselves by name and any affiliation for the record. Again, please save your questions for after public comment at the conclusion of the review of the proposed changes. There will be time for questions and dialogue at that point once all information has been shared before we move on to the next round of public comment. At this moment, we'll open the first period of public comment for anyone who wishes to provide comments for the record. And as a reminder, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. All right, at this moment, I'm not seeing anyone who is wishing to provide public comment. So. The department is proposing changes and additions to Nevada Administrative Code, Chapter 583, to allow for a state meat and poultry inspection program, while also providing clarification for custom meat and poultry processing operations. We will review these proposed changes and additions in detail. For a state to be able to develop and administer their own meat and poultry inspection program, the state must operate in a manner and with authorities that are at least equal to the federal inspection program. This program is a fee-based program. The department did not receive general funding, and this was taken into consideration when reviewing the fees. The proposed fees program is based on the cost that the department would incur in order to operate a meat and poultry inspection program in the state of Nevada. This program takes into special consideration the cost of ensuring Nevada citizens are provided with a safe meat and poultry inspection program that focuses on the public's health and safety. And I will now begin the review of the proposed changes today. So sections 2 through 11 of this regulation define certain terms that relate to the inspection of meat and poultry. Section 12 of this regulation requires a person who wishes to operate an official establishment to submit an application for a permit to the department that establishes fees to obtain or renew a permit and requires the applicant to submit certain plans for the construction of the official establishment covered by the permit under certain circumstances. It also establishes a fee for the review of plans by the department and establishes certain provisions for such fees. Section 13 of this regulation requires a person who wishes to operate a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit to submit an application for license to the department. It establishes the fees to obtain or renew a license. It requires the applicant to submit certain plans for the construction of the custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit covered by the license under certain circumstances. It establishes a fee for the review of such plans by the department, and it establishes certain provisions governing such a license.
Okay, I will, I'll give it the AR on it and see what.
Section 14 of this regulation requires a holder of a permit or license to operate an official establishment, custom processing establishment, or mobile processing unit who intends to remodel, renovate, or alter an official establishment, custom processing establishment, or mobile processing unit as applicable to, before performing such work, submit to the department a plan detailing the proposed changes and a fee for the review of the plan by the department. Section 15 of this regulation authorizes, with certain exceptions, the department to grant inspection services to each person issued a permit or license to operate an official establishment, a custom processing establishment, or a mobile processing unit if the permittee or licensee satisfies certain requirements, and it requires the department to notify a permittee or licensee if the department grants inspection to such a person. Sections 16 through 17 of this regulation establish certain requirements for the construction, design, and use of a mobile processing unit. And so again, sections 16 and 17 of this regulation establish certain requirements for the construction, design, and use of a mobile processing unit. Section 18 of this regulation establishes various requirements relating to the sanitation procedures used in the handling of certain food products in a mobile processing unit. Section 19 of this regulation also establishes various requirements relating to the sanitation procedures used in the handling of certain food products in a mobile processing unit. Section 20 of this regulation also establishes various requirements relating to the sanitation procedures used in the handling of certain food products in a mobile processing unit. Section 21 of this regulation also establishes various requirements relating to sanitation procedures used in the handling of certain food products in a mobile processing unit. Section 22 of this regulation requires a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit to comply with certain provisions of federal law. Section 23 of this regulation requires a person who holds a license to operate a custom processing establishment to tag each animal for slaughter and carcass of such an animal as not for sale, and to keep products for custom processing separate from other products under inspection. Section 24 of this regulation requires an inspector to mark certain equipment, utensils, rooms, or compartments that are not sanitary or could adulterate a product with a Nevada rejected tag. Section 25 of this regulation authorizes the department to detain or embargo meat or poultry in a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit if the meat or poultry does not have proper identification, or the meat or poultry does not comply with certain requirements. Section 26 of this regulation requires each person issued a permit or license to operate an official establishment, custom processing establishment, or a mobile processing unit to comply with certain federal laws relating to humane methods of slaughter. Section 27 of this regulation requires each person issued a license to operate a custom processing establishment or a mobile processing unit to keep records in accordance with certain federal laws, and it authorizes the department at reasonable times to access such records. Section 27 of this regulation requires each person issued a license to operate a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit to keep such records in accordance with certain federal laws, and it authorizes the department at reasonable times to access such records. Section 28 of this regulation authorizes the department to issue a written warning to a person who holds a license to operate a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit who is suspected of committing certain repeated violations. It provides certain requirements for such a warning, and it authorizes the department to perform an inspection to determine if the violations were corrected and charge a fee for such an inspection. Section 29 of this regulation authorizes the department to suspend a license to operate a custom processing establishment or mobile processing unit under certain circumstances. It authorizes a person whose license was suspended to request a hearing before the department, and it authorizes the licensee to apply to the department for reinstatement of a license. Section 29 also authorizes the department to charge a fee for the reinstatement of a license. Section 30 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 010, to provide clarification of the United States Department of Agriculture, and it updates the parts of Title 9 of the Code of Federal Regulations to include Part 301. Section 31 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 020, to provide clarification on the type of establishment. It also removes reference to the Board of Health and includes reference to the department. Section 32 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 030, to include poultry and to provide clarification of the United States Department of Agriculture. Section 33 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 040, to include poultry products. Section 34 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 050, to include poultry and poultry food product. It removes reference to the state health officer and includes reference to the state quarantine officer. It removes reference to the Board of Health and includes reference to the department. Section 35 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 070, to provide clarification to the United States Department of Agriculture. Section 36 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 231. It provides clarification for the Secretary of Agriculture of the United States. Section 37 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 350, to include poultry and poultry food products. It also provides clarification of the United States Department of Agriculture. Section 38 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 370, to remove reference to the Board of Health and includes reference to the department. Section 39 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 380 to include poultry and poultry food products. It also provides clarification on the types of establishments. Section 40 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 390 to provide clarification on the types of establishment and the statement for use in intrastate commerce. Section 41 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 400 to provide clarification for an official establishment and clarification for the United States Department of Agriculture. It updates the section on animals that are suspected of being affected with any disease or those that may show symptoms of disease and how they must be handled. Section 42 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 410 to include poultry. And it provides some language updates to include Nevada inspected. Additionally, it provides clarification on the type of establishment. It includes a section on what must be done with any meat or poultry which is not fit for human consumption. Section 43 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 420 to include poultry. Section 44 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 430 to include poultry and poultry food products. It also updates the language on the type of establishment. It includes some further clarification for custom processing establishments and mobile processing units. Section 45 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 440 to include poultry and poultry food product. It also provides clarification of the type of establishment. It also provides a reference to the Poultry Products Inspection Act. It includes a section on which custom processing products must be labeled not for sale and how shipping containers carrying poultry food products must be labeled. Section 46 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 450 to include poultry and poultry food products. And it also provides clarification for the type of establishment. It includes a section on which types of carcasses, animal, meat, meat food products, poultry or poultry food products may not be entered into an official establishment. Section 47 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 460. It provides for proper methods of transportation and labeling of products under this regulation. Section 48 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 470, to provide clarification on the type of establishment. It includes poultry and poultry food products. Section 49 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 480 to remove reference to the Board of Health and to include reference to the department or the officer. It also provides reference to Nevada Revised Statute 583, Section 543. Section 50 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 490 to include poultry or poultry food product. It also includes reference to the Poultry Products Inspection Act. Section 51 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 510. It removes a section and then provides clarification for the Secretary of Agriculture of the United States Department of Agriculture. It provides for Section 661 of the Federal Meat Inspection Act. Section 52 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 520 to remove reference to the Health Division of the Department of Health and Human Services and references the department. It provides clarification on the agricultural marketing services of the United States. And it provides for the adoption by reference of certain federal regulations. It provides for the adoption of Title IX of the Code of Federal Regulations and for which sections of it are in fact adopted by reference. It provides for which sections of the Federal Meat Inspection Act are adopted by reference. It provides for which sections of the Poultry Products Inspection Act are adopted by reference. It includes adoption by reference to the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act. It provides clarification for the language used and for the state equivalent or counterpart. It includes where Title IX of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 300 to 500 can be accessed online and obtained. It provides for the review by the officer of the provisions adopted by reference. Section 53 of this regulation amends NAC 583, Section 530 to include poultry and poultry food products. It provides for the exemptions in the Federal Meat Inspection Act and the Poultry Products Inspection Act adopted by reference. Section 54 of this regulation repeals NAC 583, Section 300. And the text of the repealed section is officer defined, and officer was defined as means the state health officer. We are now available to take any questions regarding the proposed changes. A quick reminder for those online, please use the raised hand function to be called upon. Please be sure to state your name and affiliation for the record. And as a reminder, for anyone who has joined on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9, and once you've been called upon, you can press *6 to unmute yourself. Haynes?
Haynes Holman, Nevada Cattlemen's Association. So is it my understanding that a mobile slaughter unit will be basically under the same rules and regulations as a actual establishment, a building?
Thank you for your question, Haynes. Your question is regarding if mobile processing units will be under the same regulations as an official establishment. Shada Sanjita, for the record, no. Mobile processing units will be under the same regulations as a custom processing operation. They are not subjected to the regulations of an official establishment.
Okay, second question. So this is a fee-based program. From what I understand, there's no general funding to go into this. Is that correct?
Thank you for your question, Haynes. Your question is that this is a fee-based program and that there is no general funding to go towards this program. Shada Sanjita, for the record, yes, you are correct. This is a fee-based program, and at the moment, we are not receiving general funding for the program.
So third and last question, is there an opportunity for, number one, a grace period to get some of these units in place and general funding to help this get off the ground during that grace period? Is that an opportunity?
Thank you for your question, Haynes. Your question is regarding if there will be a grace period for those subjected to this regulation to get on board with it, correct? Shada Sanjita, for the record, this is something that I'm happy to take to my department and for us to discuss further. As of right now, I cannot give you a sure answer, but this is definitely something that we will review.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions online, so we'll go ahead and we'll move into our second public comment period. We appreciate everyone's questions, and we'll now move into the second period for public comment. Anyone wishing to make a statement for the record and consideration may do so now. Again, if you're joining us online, please use the raise hand function. And if you're joining via phone, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself when called upon.
So Haynes Holman, Nevada Cattlemen's. So first off, for the record, I would like to say I applaud the Department of Ag for taking this on. I think it's a good thing to move us into we're federal regulation and we have an inspector and kind of forwarding some of these smaller niche markets, and I applaud the department for taking this off. Secondly, I do have concerns over some of these smaller mobile slaughter units. What we want the department to do is encourage these things and not discourage them through regulation. So I think it's going to take a little bit of general fund to get this off the ground. I think it's going to take a little bit of training for some of these folks in the field they need some help with this regulation, and we want to see service and not enforcement. So a couple of years of grace period and some training for some of these mobile slaughter units. And thirdly, I have some reservations about if there's a little mobile slaughter unit that only does 8 or 10 head a year, paying into the fees on a fee-based program the same amount or at a level of the same facility that's doing more head is going to be onerous on those small mobile slaughter units. And we do not want to see these go away as rural folks in Nevada. A lot of them come to our ranches and cut up 1 or 2 beef a year. If they have to pay a lot of fees in order to do it, they're just going to quit. So we don't want to see that as the industry. End of comment.
Thank you. All right, I'm not seeing anyone online who wishes to provide public comment at the moment. Thank you all for your participation. The Nevada Department of Agriculture will take the comment from today into consideration along with any written comments received during the rulemaking process. Following the workshop process, there will be a hearing for adoption of regulations scheduled and communicated. The notice for this hearing will be posted not less than 30 days prior to the hearing date and will provide instructions as to how to provide written comment and a deadline for submission of the comment for purpose of being included in the official record for the hearing for adoption. Thank you all for attending. This workshop is adjourned as of 10:12 a.m.
All hands, glad you